The IRS didn't come down there and help me make some pizzas and smoothies. I had to do that all myself. So for me to just give my hard-earned money, I'm a cowboy. I said, if I was you, I would be a cowboy too.
These are real people, not paid actors, coming together and rallying for what we believe in.
The banks didn't know what XRP was. They laughed at it. They didn't take it serious. They didn't understand the technology. Therefore, the story goes that Brad Garlinghouse made it public, and you and I own the XRP. When you get into XRP, it's about extreme patience. $20 trillion travels through XRP every single day. That alone brings XRP to $1,000, $2,000 like that, just like that.
And meanwhile, our dollar's getting printed into oblivion.
The blockchain is probably equally as exciting as the invention of the internet. The internet had to come first, but the blockchain is every bit as exciting, if not more exciting, than the internet itself. This is God's money. It's been around for 3,000 years. It has been able to be the best hedge against inflation ever. It's got an impeccable track record that no one can argue with. Of course it's going to be money. What else would it be? The computer you and I are talking on right now would not work if it wasn't for gold and silver. What kind of intrinsic value does the US dollar have? Everything's going to change. It's going to change drastically. The normies are going to have a hard time adjusting. Their day is coming to an abrupt end right now.
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying the content and find value in what I'm sharing, I'd greatly appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support not only helps this channel grow, but ensures that you stay up to date on the latest and greatest content. Thanks for tuning in today and for spreading the word. Love you mucho. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we have with me the one and only Mel Carmine, the founder of QuantumSummit1776.com and many other interesting projects that span across many verticals of practice. Mel, how you doing today, sir?
Brother, thank you. Oh, wow. I like the way you made the screen. You made my chair look even bigger than what it is.
You always look great, sir. And that chair is signature. Was so funny. Last week, I was driving down the freeway and I saw a chair similar to yours being strapped down in a truck. And I'm like, is that Mel Carmine in California? No way he's over on the West Coast.
That's funny.
I appreciate
So,
it.
brother, man, what's going on?
I
mean, how's the New World Order treating you?
Oh, shoot. Pretty good. You know what? It's keeping me busy with all these narratives coming out, us having these front row seats by de facto of participating in these interesting communities of practice like we do. Obviously, you operate the Quantum Summit conference, which I had the wonderful opportunity to participate in and interview you on site over there in Cape Canaveral. That's just one of the many colorful opportunities that I've been able to have front row seats in, but then also be engaged and listen to really, I would say, decorated thought leaders in the space. You had Rob Cunningham there. You also had some very interesting people that spanned across the health and wellness and then also politics. You had I want to say it was
actually a friend of Dr. Jan Helper, Dr.
Yes.
John Helper Hayes, General Tata.
Yeah, but that guy seemed like he was a right-hand man to Donald Trump on some capacities and services. Yesterday, I had also an interview, a live stream with Andy Scheckman, the founder of Miles Franklin. I've been able to support him and Jason Cousins with the production of a reoccurring or weekly podcast called The Resilient Compass. But regardless, being able to support those guys when they talk about everything from Project Sandman, Enbridge, the revaluation of gold, which I'm sure you're very familiar of because you also operate in the gold industry as well, with precious metals. Yep. There's a lot going on. What tell me, Mel, what are you seeing on the East Coast?
The most challenging things we're coming across, and I'm sure Andy's probably coming across a lot of the same things that I accept on a much bigger level. He's been at it for 33 years. I've been at it for 33 days.
But like my YouTube channel here.
Yeah, exactly. There's challenges in every business. People think, oh, wow, Mel Carmine is going to make a ton of money in the gold and silver industry. And I do plan on making a couple of pennies. Yeah, it's very competitive. The margins are very small. Anybody that is in this business understands that wholeheartedly. And but the reality is, we have all these people, Ray, that have money sitting in these accounts, and they're still afraid of the boogeyman, meaning the IRS. Say, if I take it out, they're gonna want their piece of flesh, their whatever you call capital gains,
Sharks.
and that is true in a three-dimensional world that we're gradually leaving, and we're almost out of that world completely, going into this new world that I call misogynist. That's I focus on learning on what the new world looks like now. You talk to some of these people who are still very three-dimensional in their central bank digital currency, and they talk about that at nauseum, even though Donald Trump has said not going to happen, dead on arrival, about
Yeah.
82 dozen times now. So I know that this Chinese communist system with a box around your body, where if you don't get along with the bankers, and I'm going to say something that's really profound here in a second, if you allow me, I'm going to segue into something that I don't think I've ever said on any channel, except I said it yesterday on Nino Rodriguez, which if you guys haven't seen that show, it's off the Richter scale. You got to go watch that. Nino is all Nino and I, when we get together, it's like capturing lightning in a bottle, and then you throw a little gasoline on it. You explode the bottle, right?
What'd you guys
So
talk about?
everything, bro, everything. Even him coming to the next quantum summit, which is probably a likelihood.
Awesome.
So you got all these people that have all this money sitting in these big accounts, millions of dollars, literally. I'm sitting on 28, $30 million conservatively, and I'm being very conservative. All these different people, 5 million, 2 million, 3 million, 7 million, whatever. And they can't give me the money, because if they give me the money, they have to pay capital gains tax. At least that's what they're saying. What I said, I called one of these people today. She's worth 1.7 million. Her sister's worth, this is just in stocks. Okay. Her sister's got like $8.2 million sitting in the stock market. And they know that the stock market's about to take a shit. So what happened was, I said, look, I'm not giving you financial advice. I said, I'm a cowboy. This is how I move. I got audited years ago. I had a small company on the beach, South Beach. The name of the company was a Wild Thing Incorporated, INC. It was an LLC.
This
Right?
wasn't the pizza parlor.
But no, this was a beach concession. I had a 500 share operation. I was selling umbrellas, renting umbrellas and chairs on South Beach between 21st and 22nd Street on Collins. That was Mel's Beach. And I had a trailer. I was selling smoothies, beer, pizza. I was making money. And I just didn't pay anybody. I don't believe in. Listen, the IRS didn't come down there and help me make some pizzas and smoothies. You know what I mean? I had to do that all myself. So for me to just give my hard-earned money, just hand it over, you're not going to get that easily from Mel Carmine. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I say that publicly because I'm not afraid of the boogeyman. I'm fearless. Yeah, understand? And I'm having a conversation with this lady this morning, just this morning. And I said, look, I'm not giving you financial advice. What I'm giving you is this. I'm a cowboy. I said, if I was you, I would be a cowboy too. I would say, listen, the chances of them SWAT teaming you is probably 5 to 6%.
Speak of
So
the cowboy here. What are your thoughts on his perspective on Bitcoin, and even Kamala's recent? She came out with her recent interview yesterday on CNN where they asked some pressing questions. It's about time, because when I was just watching the interview between Kamala and the CNN rep, she's talking about taxing the wealthy. She's the ultra wealthy, considerable amount of capital gains, unrealized as well. So you would be paying on, let's just say, if XRP went up from what it is today to $5 and then came right back down, you could potentially be paying taxes, if unrealized, on that $5, regardless if you're back in the red. Just doesn't make sense, and I don't think it's gonna fly. Also, what I thought was her comment about, she said, "Oh, the past president, which they're still in power here, has created this separation between the right and left that we've never seen before. This ideology that is very divisive. If you were to look at the rallies around Trump rallies, these are real people, not paid actors, coming together and rallying for what we believe in." And I'm wearing my Val Hill Capital hat, but I should be wearing my MAGA right now. And matter of fact, I might as well. But
you know what? Let me go do that too. I just got one in the mail, and not a MAGA hat. It's a very original hat. I'm gonna go get mine.
You go get your MAGA hat.
All right, there we go, man. How's that?
There we go. Oh,
How's that for a hat?
That's a good looking
Got
hat.
a little signature on the sides. Anyway, so now look. Bottom line is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just really quick on that comment with Kamala. It's just very insane to where this party is just lying out of both sides, talking about how they're creating divisiveness, that there's this lack of unity in across the U.S. Meanwhile, they're letting people come in through the borders, saying it's uncriminalized potentially to get their vote and giving away free capital to these migrants. Meanwhile, we've got people living here in the US struggling to pay their bills. And so it just doesn't make sense what this party is doing today. Meanwhile, we've got Donald Trump, and I just want to say this paradigm shift on potentially a new financial system we've been touting for quite some time, years now. What are your thoughts? Do you think that is Nisara Gisara under is the BRICS nation? Do you think the same thing? Do you think they're wielding in the XRPL or a similar technology? Because previously discussed yesterday on my live stream is Project Mbridge, which is the BIS. They're bringing together more than 20 of the largest financial institutions in the world, including the IMF, the Federal Reserve, the central banks, the European central banks, many central banks. Is that the same technology? They can't talk about it because of NDAs. What are your thoughts going on? There's a
I
lot
think
going on in
that,
this world.
yeah, I think the United States at some point may either come up with something that competes with the BRICS nation, and they're going to
Mm.
say, "Give us the ball. Let me show you how the game is played." Okay.
Yeah.
Or what happens is they have to join what they can't beat. They have to be, in other
Mm.
words, when you can't beat them, you got to join them. You've heard the analogy, right?
Absolutely.
That's a possibility. And the central bank digital currency, what I want to get to earlier, I want to make a point for your audience specifically. I'm going to go back in time and I want to paint a picture for you if I can. Imagine when Brad Garlinghouse approached the bankers before almost nobody owned XRP or used to be called OpenCoin years ago,
Yep.
right? OpenCoin, and then they changed it over to XRP. Imagine if the bankers would have understood what it was, and they said, "Yeah, we're all in with you. Let's go." In other words, the XRP would have become the central bank digital currency. We would have been in a lot of trouble because
Yep.
now Brad Garlinghouse XRP would only sell it to who? The banks.
Hmm.
The banks would use it as their central bank digital currency. They would add their own little vig to it. They would figure out a way to corrupt it somehow, some way, right? And
Hmm.
now they got everybody by the you know what, right?
The cojones.
That yeah, that could have very well happened. That could have very well happened. It didn't happen because the banks didn't know what the hell XRP was. They laughed at it. They didn't take it serious. They didn't understand the technology. Therefore,
Mm.
the story goes that Brad Garlinghouse made it public, and you and I own the XRP, and hundreds of thousands of people own the XRP. A little too
Do you
late to take that Pandora and try to put Pandora back in the box. Difficult.
do you think that some of those high net worth investors, institutional investors that had the luxury of getting into the game earlier than us or than most retail investors, let's just say specifically through the Ethereum ICO offering or even early days of BTC, do you think that there's p- entities or big players that were already they set their course and it's just too late to make any decisions now? They're too invested into Bitcoin, they have too much stake in Ethereum that they just are gonna shun everything
Uh,
else out?
Look, the way I look at it is like this. I have a good friend of mine. I won't mention this person's name. This person lives in New Jersey. She's a very well-to-do individual. She's got a couple of these,
Yeah.
and I was able to convince her. Not that I gave her financial advice, but when I painted the picture of XRP and I painted the picture of Bitcoin, she got it. Except the one thing she didn't get is she's going to have to muster up some extreme patience because when you get into XRP, it's about extreme patience. And you have to be very patient for this game to be over, which I think once Trump comes back, it's vividly going to be very clear to the world as a
Mhm.
whole that it is over. I mean, when people don't realize is that just JP Morgan alone moves, okay, $20 trillion a day. Okay. When you take that into account, and there's no central bank digital currency, and the only central bank digital currencies they could use is the people's money, XRP, to move that money. All right. And they have to use the XRP because they have really no choice. And that $20 trillion travels through XRP every single day. That alone brings XRP to $1,000, $2,000 like that, just like that. So some people that I know personally, including myself, I could retire on a $50, $100 XRP all day long. I won't be able to get the private jet and the 179-meter trimaran with a staff of 46 people on there. None of that. So all that stuff goes away. But I'll still be able to live a very comfortable life. I'll be multimillionaire many times over.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's gonna be a lot of people that will leave the XRP, is what I'm trying to say, at 20, 30, 40, $50 because they don't understand the big picture. They don't understand the end game, right?
yep.
When they understand what the end game is, even though some of these people may make as much as 50, 60, 70 million dollars because they sold it at $20, and that's nothing to scoff at. Okay, that's a tremendous amount of money. Somebody bought something for very little, and now they maybe spent, say, $50,000 or $100,000 on a token, and now they're worth 60 million, $70 million. That's a lot of money. You could do you could weather the storm, and you could handle inflation even if they go up another 300% from now, right? You're okay. But
Incredible.
when they realize, if I would have only sold 10% and lived on a budget on $7 million, right, and let the rest of it ride, now you got all your money back, plus you made a tremendous profit even at $7 million. Because let's say you put in 100,000, you got 70 million if you take it all out. You got 7 million if you only take out 10%, but you let the rest of it ride, and that other 65 million that you would have taken out with that, right, now rides to, billions. That's the smart money, I think. Long-term play, right? Now, people will do that. Not everybody understands the world we are graduating into, that I constantly harp on for a reason, because I'm already forgotten about the three-dimensional world. I'm forgetting about the world where they want to charge you income tax, property tax, tax on your coffee, tax on your gasoline, tax on your booze if you drink or smoke. You go through a toll, that's a tax. You got to pay for your license, that's a tax. You got to pay for your insurance, that's a tax. You got to pay for your registration, that's a tax. You're being taxed to death. You get it?
And
So, yeah,
meanwhile, our dollar's getting printed into oblivion.
exactly. So now you have a situation. Now you have a situation where people are starting to get the fact he's right. We're paying 70, 72, 75 cents on every dollar we make. Yeah, because you're being taxed on 500 things you bought this month. Okay. You're being taxed on everything you touch. You can't move left or right. Someone's got the hand in your pocket. These people are now starting to come to their senses, and it's about time. But before, until people like you and me would point this stuff out, they were completely asleep. They're like, yeah, don't make any waves, Mel. Leave everything status quo. We're okay. We're good. We're okay if the cops give us a speeding ticket and a parking ticket. You might be okay with it, but Mel Carmine isn't. Why is this country in such trouble? This is the question nobody asked. Because the rich people found every loophole there is to find. And these are rich people that are maybe unknowns. They're not like on a level of a Donald Trump, on a level. And Donald Trump is taking advantage of the tax system. He's taking advantage of every loophole available to him. And he has legally, not illegally, but legally cheated the system, legally. And I love that about him. And people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, these guys pay less taxes than a college English professor.
You think Nancy
You
Pelosi
know
pays
why?
tax?
Yeah, no, of course not. They're all exempt to the laws that they make for you. The country's in trouble because you got a government that's over bloated in size, number one. You got a government that needs to go away by 95%. You got all these people making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year salaries. And I hate to tell you, some of them, Ray, don't even go to work. There's an office with a fax machine, with computers, with telephones, that nobody reports to work. And we, as the taxpayers, are paying for that.
Wow.
You think with all the technology we have that we can streamline everything and make everything very organized, you think we need hundreds of thousands of people working in the US government
That's
or millions?
an interesting point, and check this out. Think about this, Mel, and I'm not here to
Mhm,
shift gears here or sell any of my services, but what
mhm.
we're working on, this hasn't even been released to the general public yet. But if you think about it, if you could tie your business and every transaction directly to the XRP ledger or a blockchain, and then that blockchain, which is a ledger, an accounting mechanism, then you've bypassed the need of having to print the receipt, having to maintain and put manually put those transactions on a centralized or a CSV file, upload them over to your tax representative, and do all those steps. What if all of that was just being baked in right to a ledger and being instantly accounted for through the products and services that were tied in through what I have on the screen right now is my website. And if individuals wanted to potentially pay for my marketing services and that transaction was immediately tied to the XRP ledger, you're bypassing so many intermediaries and steps that you might not need a TurboTax or some type of intermediary processing those accounting steps. I'm sure you will at some capacity on a consultative services, but if everything was just automated and accounted for instantaneously, then we might be in a whole new system, accounting system that we've not even thought about. What are your thoughts?
Ray, it's all gonna go away, exactly your point, because everything's gonna become automated. Everything's gonna become so easy, so simple. The blockchain is probably equally as exciting as the invention of the internet. Obviously, the a blockchain could not exist without the internet, so the internet had to come first. But the blockchain is every bit as exciting, if not more exciting, than the internet itself. Why? Because it's going to streamline everything. It's going to organize everything. Why do you think? Why do you think they don't want, for example, this blockchain? The politicians. How many times you seen people on the floor of Congress? They say we need to outlaw Bitcoin. We need to outlaw the blockchain because their Ponzi scheme is over. It's over. We could do voting in the comfort of our own living room or bedroom, and we could vote on a device while we're sitting on a toilet and vote
Mm.
for whoever you want. And within minutes, you're going to have an accurate count of who the party that got in with a margin of error of 0. You feeling me? And they don't want a system that we are going to stop being screwed. They want a system that they can continue to screw us until the end of time. And their day is coming to an abrupt end right now.
I love to hear that, Mel. And it's great to be in the trenches fighting alongside you and working with talented professionals, not just in the financial industry, but in the developer community and being a conduit that brings them both together. And it's really exciting and a lot of fun. Well, what say you, sir? I know that you had a successful quantum summit in Cape Canaveral. I believe you're working on your second conference, and that's going to be even bigger than the last.
Much.
Can you talk about what you're working on?
Absolutely. Yeah. We are, I have to walk on eggshells with this contract, and I got to be able to make all the right decisions because I don't, at my age, you don't have the luxury of making a mistake, number one. Number two, I got to have enough clauses in that contract that in case, hey, something goes wrong with the election, I can move the date from X to Y. If there's something goes wrong and there's a war, I could get my money back, and all the people who bought a room from you guys are going to get their money back. I have to
Mhm.
have clauses in the contract that protects me and protects the people that intend to want to show up at the event. I want you guys to put insurance on your travel expenses as well with no penalties. In other words, if you book an airline ticket, okay, put insurance on that puppy for $22. You know why? Because in case something catastrophic happens, I don't want somebody to say, "Hey, Mel, you told us to come down to the Quantum Summit. You owe me $682 because I booked an airline ticket." That's not going to happen. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now, put insurance on everything. I'm putting insurance on our contract with the hotel because I'm taking zero chances. I want this to be a zero. Now, for everybody that thinks that you have elected a leader to be in office, I have news for you. I hate to break the bad news to you. You have not elected nobody.
Mm.
Okay. Does that mean we stop believing in the electoral process? No. As a matter of fact, I'll preface that by saying, hell no. Okay.
Is
And if I find the volunteers and if I have enough donations down the road, if I have to move in this other direction, like I need another thing on my plate, like I need a hole in the head. Okay. If we have to put together a office in Cape Canaveral to help the effort to make sure that this tidal wave of voting happens unimpeded, number one. Number two, it's such a huge wave that's coming at you, that's 8,000 miles high, coming at you 8,000 miles an hour, and it can't be stopped. So be it. But we got to go complete. Everybody's got to vote. Everybody's got to get up. Don't give up. Giving up means that you're giving the other side the power to do whatever they want with us. Don't put me in a position where I got to move out of the United States again. Because if next time I move out, I'm not coming back.
Let's talk about that. You did move to Costa Rica. You're back now. What influenced the move and the return?
I was next in line to get my machines at stayingalive.com, which we're completely, totally revamping the website here soon.
When you were living in Costa Rica, you were working at or managing a telecommunications center, or I believe.
Telemarketing. Yeah, we had a bunch of telemarketing companies. Yeah, sure. We had a bunch of telemarketing companies that worked for us, Amber and I. If anybody's ever called any of you guys out there and tried to convince you that you should change your electric company or your gas company or both over to what our service, we would offer them like 10-15% off for 90 days. That was like the hook to get them to switch over. And then we would make, let's say, for example, we would get that contract from the ESCO, which stands for Energy Service Company, for maybe say $100 per switch for gas and $100 for electric. Depending on the capacity or the capability of the call center, we would pay them accordingly. And so let's say we would sell that contract, for argument's sake, at $60 for gas and $60 for electric for every customer that was converted over legally. Amber and I would be sitting on the beach making $80 on gas and electric for every customer converted while we're hanging out playing with the monkeys in Costa Rica.
Awesome.
And we were killing it. Yeah, no, the reason why I moved to Costa Rica is I was escaping the vaccination schedule under Obama, because Amber was subject to about 7 minimum of those things, even though there's nothing wrong with her, at least not that I could tell, and I'm not a doctor, but that was minimum, that was mandatory. And so we moved there because of that, because we're not into that stuff.
Yeah.
So we moved there to escape that. That's the primary reason, because all of our call centers, most of them were all in the United States.
Very few, they are in the US.
I had a few call centers down in Venezuela. I had a few call centers in Puerto Rico. I had one in Guam at one time, but mostly Florida was the hub for call centers for energy deregulation. And so when COVID rolled into town, my business was shut down in a snap of a finger, literally, because of the social distancing. We could not go any further. And so somebody else was in control of whether my business can go on or not. And it literally came to a screeching halt in less than 1 week. And all the call centers in Tampa that we used to deal with, a lot of them, all out of business.
Wow.
All out of business.
Yeah. So what did you resort to?
Yeah, I lived on savings for 3.5 years being bored, and I could have lived on savings for another 8 years, but I got bored. And I told my wife I'm going to start a podcast. We were just starting to dabble with the XRP, and we had taken $6,000 worth of silver. We had sold it and we bought a bunch of tokens. We were new to the game, but we had turned that 6,000 into a significant amount of money. And I'm saying this is a lot better than silver. And so that's what got us into the digital asset game.
Yeah.
And this is like 9. Yeah.
Yeah. So seeing those types of gains.
Long time ago.
But anyways, it's Friday. Mel, anything positive and productive that we can leave the audience here with as we wind down the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought I was going to be as big as I am, and I'm about to get bigger, not in size. Like I'm actually slimming down. I'm feeling good. But
good for you.
I'm gonna send you a video here, if I may.
Okay.
I know that you just recently called me here.
I did.
Yeah, here we go, Ray. Let me send you a video that was sent to me this morning. If you might want to play this one, because you'll
Okay.
get a kick out of it. It's a short video. I
Okay.
just sent it to you on your phone. If you could transfer it over onto the screen somehow, some
Oh,
way. This is about people who think about starting a podcast. And I'm not putting this video out there to discourage you. On the contrary, rather to encourage you.
A lot of time when people start a podcast, they want to interview the biggest guy. I'm going to interview Michael Jordan tomorrow. Hey, Michael, can you get on our podcast? You know what I'm saying? President Obama, I am so committed to your views. Mr. Trump, President Trump, we have to have you on a podcast because I think I'm going to interview different than anybody else. That's not how this works. You know who you start off with? With the local guy that has a pizza shop, but they've had this pizza shop for 58 years, and it's been past 3 generations, and you tell the story, and you know how many views you get? 226 if you're lucky. Can you do that? Do you know one of my first videos I did? I'm wearing a pink sock, by the way. Okay, in this video, you know how many views that video got? First day, less than 30. I was calling my friends and family saying, did you watch the video? They said, what video? Because nobody had a clue who this guy was. There's like, what are you trying to be a motivational speaker? Is that what you're doing? No, man, I'm trying to create. Can you support me? Most people don't believe you're going to continue with the podcast that you have.
I'm a huge fan of Patrick Bet David. He actually has the Vault conference going on in Palm Beach next month. I wanted to go, but I'm going to be going to the Tucker Carlson, his event at the Honda Center, which is right up the street here. And he's going to have Vivek speak as well. So I got floor seats to be present and hopefully collect some good content. But if I were to go to the Vault, I would need to fly the next day. And I made plans with my wife. I need to spend some time with her.
Well, the fact that he mentioned, if you want to start a podcast, you better start with the pizza guy that's been in business 58 years. Like, oh yeah, baby. Okay. Yeah. I resonate with that so much because when I started, right, and I would make these little 2, 3, 4, 5 minute recordings in my Telegram group, and then they would end up on Whiplash, and they would end up on Captain Kyle, and they would have to Kerry Cassidy, who's got like 100,000 people following on all these channels, right? And I would have hundreds of people every day joining my channel. I'm like, where are these people coming from? I didn't know, because I'm technically challenged, like most people my age, right? I didn't know that there was a little link at the top of the audio that they could click that and come join my channel. And so I talked to my friend Sandra. I said, Sandra, where are these people coming from? She goes, Mel, you don't understand this. She goes, your audios are resonating with people, how you're connecting the dots and the breadcrumbs, and people are coming. Your audios are ending up on channels with like hundreds of thousands of people. So those people can have the option to click in on the link and coming over. That's how I started to blow up on Telegram. The reason why I resonate with that is because I didn't know what the F I was doing, right? So I was friendly with some people inside my rooms, inside my Telegram groups, like my friend Darren and Gina over in Oregon, my friend Frank Mancini, Razor in Arizona, all these people. And I would just basically send them a message out. Hey, you guys want to be on a podcast with me tonight? I'm brand new. Don't know what the F it is I'm doing. I'm messing it up big time. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. But that's how I got started. That's how I got the marbles out of my mouth. Do I still interrupt people? All the time. Do I still mess it up? All the time. But you know what? If you're being yourself and you're having fun with it, people can sense that. If you're trying to act like somebody you're not, people are going to say, get the hell out of here with this bozo, ex-pizza guy wannabe podcaster. What is wrong with you? So that's, to me, stuff like that resonate.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful story, and I appreciate that. Those words coming from Patrick Bet David. Him and I are very similar as well. He's was in the insurance game. Now he's got his own podcast. He's an entrepreneur. He's a family man. I love this. I would love to be this guy when I get older.
I think you will. I think you can, because you're more even tempo. I'm more like, I'm not polished. Look. Do I believe that one day you're going to turn on the channel and I'm going to be on Patrick Bet David? Absolutely. Do I believe that one day Donald Trump is going to be sitting across from me and the pizza guy, the ex-pizzeria impresario? There's a big difference between being a pizza man and being a pizzeria impresario with 9 pizza shops at one point. Not all at the same time, but you know what I'm saying? Sitting across from me where I can ask him questions, because I ask the questions because I live in the minds of the people. You see what I'm saying? I ask the questions the people, the real people, the patriots want to ask. But because a lot of them who are more talented than me don't want to get one of these, and they're afraid of the camera, and they'll never know. Because you know what? This can grow on you. If you don't believe me, ask Larry Ballard. We want soldiers on the battlefield. We're in a war. And we have if I try to hold back a Larry Ballard, we don't win the war. I want as many soldiers out there on the battlefield as possible. Okay. Larry's being picked up by, and we know, LT. I mean,
yeah, for those in the audience, there's Larry Ballard right here. I was fortunate to interview him at your conference, the Quantum Summit in Cape Canaveral. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to blow up. He's been on, I got him on Nino Rodriguez. I said, you want to be on Nino Rodriguez? He goes, yeah. I said, Nino, can you get Larry on? He's really good. I said, he's probably as good as Bo Pony. Really? Mel, I trust you. He goes, bring him on. Let's go.
Yeah.
So he gets on the phone. He gets on the phone with Nino. Boom. 2 minutes. I'm not going to hold you back.
Well, can I ask you, you brought up whiplash because I interviewed actually another gentleman when I was at the Quantum Summit. His name was Charlie, I believe, but he brought up the fact that he brought up whiplash and engaging in those very same Telegram group chats that you had mentioned in the past. And I believe he, in this very specific interview, he mentioned that he believes whiplash was JFK Jr., excuse me. You even at the Quantum Summit had the gentleman with his boots crossed that everyone thought that he was JFK as well, Jr.
Oh, you're talking about 107 who and didn't show up, but he's going to be coming to the next one. Yeah, look, I think it's a distraction. I really do. Look, if Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, JFK Jr., if they all end up being alive, okay? Yeah. If they all end up being alive, it's probably going to be exciting for maybe, let's say, a half a day. But your life, your health, your financial well-being doesn't change, not even a little bit. Is it potentially a way for them to throw this stuff out there? Because to some people out there, it's a distraction. And they're going to argue with you that, no, they're not alive. And you'll say, yes, they are alive. You believe it. You think you have all this evidence, which someone potentially could have fabricated, right? We're down the rabbit hole, man. So check this out. They're keeping us fighting with each other, which is exactly what they want. Is it possible that it's all a psyop? It's all part of the movie to keep the patriots divided and fighting? I believe so. I really believe that. I believe that it is part of it. Is it important? I hope that they're alive for their own sake and their families, and then maybe they come out and maybe the people who believe that they are, it proves them right. But in the bigger scope of things, it's meaningless.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And I'm speaking from experience. It's disheartening and it's sad. I don't want to call anybody out because I love them too much.
No, I hear you. But listen, like I said, look, I could really right now embarrass a few people if I wanted to. For example, I could just say, you know what? You guys said that Donald Trump was going to choose JFK Jr. as the running mate for presidency. And who is it? Is it Vance or is it JFK Jr. in a mask? We can get into an argument about that. I've heard that a million times, right? Because supposedly Jay Vance is 5'7" tall, the real one. And this one happens to be 6'3", which is right in line with JFK Jr.
Wow. No distractions on this channel, Mel. No distractions.
So you know what I'm saying? Look, at the end of the day, the most important thing here is your health and get yourself positioned for the biggest transfers of wealth. You go to QFS1776.com, QFS, which stands for Quantum Financial System, 1776.com. It is the holy grail of what's coming. It's got all of the videos. In the video column, there's 30 or 31 videos. On number 9, which is my birthday, September 9th, coming up, right? You have the Jasara and Nasara documents, the original document that was written back in 1958. You see where it says QFS videos right there in the middle? There you go. Okay, number 9. It is the PDF right there of Nasara. The original document, folks. We found it. Okay, we have it. We're the first ones to get it, thanks to Mirko, one of our ex-administrators. And I could tell you that if you read that document, instead of arguing, oh, Mel, Jasara, it's never going to happen. Read the document. unless you're happy being taxed 75 cents on every dollar you make, and you're paying 500 taxes every single month on stupidity, and someone is controlling your money because they're stealing your money, unless we can go to a flat tax system where nobody can get away with it, not even the rich people, no loopholes, everybody's got to pay. Even Donald Trump would have to pay his fair share of the tax. Unless we go, look, there are tens of thousands of debt forgiveness stories out there, maybe hundreds of thousands. These people don't want to come out because they think that the boogeyman is going to come get them. So they want to stay under the radar until the dust settles. I understand that. Hey, I respect that. But I'm telling you, I've had literally a dozen people on my show with debt forgiveness, with documentation that proved it all day long. And then people underneath the video would write, hey, I got debt forgiveness too, but I'm not going to come on your show because I'm afraid of the boogeyman. You feeling me? So it's happening. Whether you want to stay in the old world and you want to talk about the central bank digital currency, which is never going to happen, that's going to enslave humanity, like a lot of the XRP Army 1.0 guys. I call you guys XRP 1.0 because you need to graduate. And you're not graduating when you're still talking about something that Donald Trump himself has said dozens of times it's not going to take place. Do you want to be in a situation, Ray, where somebody controls your money because you don't get along with the government and you don't get along with the political views of your local bank, which it could be JP Morgan, whatever, that they can literally shut your money off because you don't see eye to eye with the communist government? I don't want to live in that world. And I know that's the world they want to bring in. They want to have control over all of us. And right now they do. Right now, I always make my skit, and I'm going to do it again just for your audience's purposes. Right now, somebody controls what kind of car you drive. They control that you drive an extension of a Model T Ford. They control that you're on 4 rubber tires, just like the Model T Ford. Yeah, you got leather seats and you got vibrating seats and you got heated seats and you got whatever. It's still a Model T Ford extension technology because it's got 4 rubber tires. Okay. And then you go to the airport and you got to go through this machine that makes you sick, this radiation machine. You got to take your belt off. You got to get on an airplane that resembles a bird. It's a bird made out of metal, okay, to get you somewhere at 600 miles an hour, and you think that's going fast, and you got to leave a day early because your meeting's on Tuesday. You got to leave on Monday to get there on Tuesday, and you think you're traveling fast. And meanwhile, they've had the technology in Wright-Patterson all along. You follow what I'm saying? So it's coming. That's why they don't want Donald Trump to come back. I keep saying the same things over and over again. And one day you're going to say the pizza impresario was right. Okay. Because you're going to get the life extension technology. You're going to get the flying cars. He's already said, I got the video that says that. You're going to get clean air. You're going to get clean food. By law, you're not going to be allowed to spray our vegetables with glyphosates and Roundup by law. You're going to go to prison. Okay. Wow. The soil has to be cleaned up. The waterways have to be cleaned up. We have the technology now. We have the videos of some of this technology, which is extremely exotic technology. And the world is going to know what I know to be true very soon. I'm not trying to be Nostradamus. Oh my God, Mel, you're just trying to. No, I'm telling you, this is why they don't want to. Why do you think Donald Trump has my technology that I have in Cape Canaveral that's staying alive with 2 eyes, alive.com, stayingalive.com, alive with 2 eyes, in his house at Mar-a-Lago? Why do you think he has his technology? Because Marla Maples went to a center in New Jersey and did 4 overnights with Tiffany Trump. Tiffany Trump happens to be, I think that at some point, Donald Trump had sex with Marla Maples and she got pregnant and a kid popped out called Tiffany Trump. Tiffany
Is that
Trump
how it works?
Yes. Okay. Tiffany Trump was at that 4-night session. So I cornered Dr. Sandra. Dr. Sandra said, yes, you're right. He does have his technology. I believe she said, I believe he has a few towers around his bedposts. That's what was told to me. That's from the inventor of the scalar wave technology that we have down in Cape Canaveral. So why is one guy get on stage and is working on all cylinders and he doesn't have any sign of dementia, and the other guy doesn't know what planet he's on?
I do want to touch base because I know that you yourself are leaning into the gold space. I've had some interesting conversations around this constitutional clause that's been recently added to the my best recollection. Regardless, though, this clause, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1, is enabling US citizens to use their gold and silver as currency. What are your thoughts on this? Because I did have a conversation, as previously mentioned, an interview with Andy Schechtman yesterday. And I asked him, I said, did you in your wildest dreams ever believe that we would be in a date and time where the US Constitution is recognizing gold and silver as normal currencies? What are your thoughts?
Well, look, this is God's money. It's been around for 3,000 years. It has been able to be the best hedge against inflation ever. It's got an impeccable track record that no one can argue with. Of course, it's going to be money. What else would it be? You want to print some dollars that have no backing, no real estate backing, no diamonds, no gold, no silver, no nothing. Okay. Why do you think George Soros is always worth billions of dollars? Because every time they give him digits in the bank account, see, if I was the central bank digital currency and you were a villain, Ray, and I said to you, hey, I want you to make crimes against humanity. You're never going to go to prison. Don't worry about it. We own the prison cells. We own the judges. We own the police. We own it all. Right. And I put $1 billion digit into a computer. How much money did that cost me? Physically? Nothing. If I gave you 100,000 or $1 billion, what's the cost between me putting $100,000 in your bank account or $1 billion in your bank account? Why do you think George Soros is giving all of this money? Because they know religiously he's a gangster against humanity. He will go and spend the money to F with us because he knows that as soon as he's a good old little soldier, that somebody's going to replenish that money back in his account. Who replenished Donald Trump's money? Did they pay him in gold and silver? Say, hey, listen, by the way, did you hear about this, that the gold and silver is now redeemable money? Let me give you some gold and silver for your efforts for trying to run for president for the entire country and trying to get this planet back on track. Nobody did that, did they?
No.
Of course it's money. It's got intrinsic value. The computer you and I are talking on right now would not work if it wasn't for gold and silver. These phones would not work if it wasn't for gold and silver. What kind of intrinsic value does the US dollar have? Take a $20 bill, take a $100 bill, same paper, same everything, except one says 100, one says 20 on it. Same amount of ink, same exact paper, different design, but about the same amount of ink and effort goes into building a $100 bill than goes to building a $20 bill. It's monopoly money.
Exactly. It served a purpose. The banknotes served a purpose. Instead of early in the 1800s, 1900s, lugging around all your gold coins and precious metals to, yes, walk around with a little wad of banknotes, which held value and represented the value, the hard assets that were backed by. Now today, for every $1 in the bank, the banks have printed out and loaned out 10 to 1 or even greater. It's a trickle down effect. It just keeps going. And as you mentioned, monopoly money. I think we're moving into times where we need to have that sound money, the confidence that's backing those units of account that are in our wallet or in our bank account. And I think going digital is the answer.
Now, do you sell silver and gold for Miles Franklin?
No, I do not.
No.
I just happened to
just interviewed him.
Yeah, just interviewed him and I was interested in getting to know him better, just like I'm chatting with you right now.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He was at XRP Las Vegas. Did you happen to meet him when you were there?
I did. He's a really cool guy. Him and his wife are wonderful people. Look, there's $900 quadrillion in bank accounts, literally sitting in bank accounts, dormant right now. Okay, because everything's about to come crashing on down. Everybody knows this. Anybody that knows a little bit about gold and silver knows one thing for sure: they got to move it into gold and silver fast.
You think there's going to be some type of revaluation of gold post the once?
No question about it. No question about it. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Glint? They're out of the UK. I advise for them as well. Curious on your thoughts of the digitization of gold and being able to use that value and spend it using a MasterCard at any location that accepts MasterCards. What do you think that this is the next evolution of being able to fractionalize your holdings of gold and utilize it in a way that hasn't been done so before?
This is the first step to holding your gold and silver on the blockchain. I think this is the very first rudimentary system, if you will, that exists right now where you could keep your gold on this is basically a blockchain, correct? This MasterCard,
No,
Visa card.
Jason has confirmed on stage at the XRP Las Vegas that they have on their roadmap the integrations onto the XRP ledger. So to your point, they are a tech-enabled platform, but they haven't come out and officially said that are leveraging any type of blockchain. Similar to how even Linked2, my former employer, has mentioned that they want to tokenize the securities that are on their platform. I think that's just where the evolution of these platforms will end up, but nothing has been set in stone that they're blockchain dependent. And going back to the comment of why I've even brought up my former employer Linked2, I was out in Portugal at an investor conference hosted by Linked2 actually, and the CEO had presented virtually while everyone's there at the location physically. He chimed in, Bill Saris, and the very first slide, or one of the very first slides of during his presentation, was we're Linked2 and we're building on the XRPL. And I was boom right in front of everyone's face. That was a very interesting slide to be presented to some high net worth investors that were in tune with where the market was going and the offerings on Linked2's platform and the direction of the technology. And so I thought it was, yeah. So again, to your point, this is just where the market's going, and a platform like Glint is just a shining example of that. But they haven't come out and said that they're leveraging DLT or anything like that. So, yeah,
everything's going to change. It's going to change drastically. The normies are going to have a hard time adjusting. It's their problem, not mine, because all the information that's available to you and me is available to them right now. They're refusing to believe it. They're refusing to look at it. They're accepting that the third world, this three-dimensional world, is never going to go away. And that's fine, because I'm going to tell you right now, some of this is going to literally self-combust and explode fall to the ground. I'm serious. I don't see a lot of these people surviving. They just don't want to get it. It takes too much horsepower to really understand the world that we're moving into. And I get that. And I have a lot of horsepower. I'm like a 16-cylinder engine on steroids.
You and me both, Mel. I think we're blessed
Yeah.
or blessed or cursed with all this energy, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey,
Brother, I got another call coming up in about 3 minutes.
Awesome, Mel. Hey, great to see you. Have a great weekend, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Love you.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.